Okay. Well, this is our Christmas episode
That's right.
between two teachers. And I'm Consuelo Lara.
I'm Madeline Kronenberg. Happy holidays. This is our last episode of 2018.
And we have a few things to share. I'm elected now on the school board, and I went to one of the California School Board Association conference. And I have to say it was very enlightening, but there was something that was really overpowering to me. And because I've gone to many conferences, CABE conferences, good teaching conferences, but the thing that struck me about this conference was the dominant presence of law firms. It was almost as if our legal agencies in charge of this conference and this association. Whether it was exhibits or workshops or presenters, it just seemed like there was a strong presence of these of lawyers. So that was a thought of mine, and also the tendency seemed to be there were a few workshops about charter schools, and they seemed to be pretty neutral all the way to supporting of charter schools. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But that was one thing that struck me. And the other thing is, well, it just seems to me that this association needs to be more proactive against the charter school expansion because it's destroying public education, and they need to be more of an advocate. That's just my opinion of that. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was my first school board meeting, and we had to cut the budget, $12 million, and how difficult that was for me as I looked at the list of programs that would be cut, knowing that I knew a lot of those programs and what they were and what they do for students, and that which students they serve the most. So that was a very difficult thing for me, and I kind of regret in my vote, if I had it to do again, I think I would have voted no for that. But it is what it is, and we have formed a committee. We are going to go over other areas that we can look at to try to change the things that were cut and maybe, reorganize that budget. So that's kind of where we are right now. So many pressing issues going on in our district and just in education in general in the state of California. So that's my opinion.
Well, it's a really good insight, because what happens is you don't realize until you go to this meeting. The California School Board Association meeting is for directors of the organization, school board members, and the attorneys have a presence because they do so much advising around legal matters for the decisions that board members have to make, which is different, I know, from teachers. But at the same time, I think that one of the things that the attorneys don't focus on as much, and it makes sense, is that the board members are the clients, not the other way around. And board members have to be sophisticated enough to manage their attorneys and not be managed by their attorneys. And that is a subtle difference, but it's never been lost on me from my years of working. I'm not an attorney, but I certainly spent a lot of years working for attorneys and being aware of how attorneys manage their clients. And I've seen a lot of that in my time on the school board and my time at conferences. Mm-hmm. So I think you've hit right upon that. Mm-hmm. And so you'll see this is the beginning of a relationship with the legal world. Mm-hmm. I wanted to mention something else that's happening right now in education in California, and that is really, I think it's the tragedy of both Oakland and Los Angeles teachers. They have been unable to come to an agreement with their with their districts around their contracts. And a huge part of this is how much money both of those districts have lost to the charter school sector. And it's the same thing with us. We would not be making the $12 million cut were it not for the fact that we have the charter school sector causing an imbalance in our budget. And that is the same imbalance that's been caused in Los Angeles and in Oakland. And then maybe there are some other issues as well, but that is the primary issue, and to try to make believe it's not, I think, is disingenuous to everybody. It's, I don't know what that was. There was a little beeping there.
Sure, Becky, no.
That's right. Thank you. Our videographer here has identified it. There you go. So what I wanted to point out is that it is my great hope that neither organization, Oakland or LA, goes forward with the strike. I've been on strike 4 times, and in no case, this is while I'm not certainly as a board member, but when I worked for 30 years in Hayward, and none of those strikes produced the kinds of results that one would want from a labor action. What really you want is to be made whole, and then more than whole. And what's going to happen with these thousands of teachers who are now looking at the potential of going on strike is they're going to lose hundreds, perhaps thousands of dollars of their pay. And what I remember seeing when we were on strike was setting up food banks, having us have to not only not be paid, but make contributions to other teachers who couldn't pay for their diapers, people losing their ability to pay their rent. Teachers overlook the fact that the reason they're striking is because they make such a small amount of money, and the ability to cover the losses that they're going to sustain if they have a lengthy strike is incredibly difficult. And it's also incredibly difficult for the labor community, because your site becomes fractured as one teacher after another decides that it is too hard to continue. They have to choose between their family and their commitment to their union. It's a really unfair choice to have to make. So it is my great hope that our new governor, and especially our new superintendent of public instruction, Mr. Thurmond, work really hard to try to bring the entire state together to support the teachers who need the issues in both of those districts and in the other districts. And the issues are not unique to either of those districts. To bring in what we really need, which is more funding for education in California, and a rethinking of everything around how we operate our charter school sector here, and to not allow it to basically cause our districts to hemorrhage funding, so much so that people are having to rethink everything in terms of how we go forward with our budgets. So it is my hope, my Christmas hope, is that Mr. Newsom, our new governor-to-be, and Mr. Thurmond, our new superintendent-to-be, work together to find a solution to this, and to find a solution before either of these strikes happen, because I think it would be a tragedy to everybody involved for the strikes to go forward. I also want to especially thank Mr. Thurmond and Senator Nancy Skinner for the very kind resolution they passed honoring me and my service in West Contra Costa. I was very surprised. They gave it to me the other day at a UTR holiday party, and I do want to publicly acknowledge both of them for doing that.
That was great.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Very well deserved.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So we'll see you all next year. Hopefully there'll be better news about the strikes, and the state will go forward and find some solutions to really the problem that you have. This is such a difficult thing where your very first meeting, you have to regret the fact that you're making cuts, and if everything goes forward as it is now, there's only going to be more cuts to be
There's
made,
more. Yeah, that's the way I see it as well.
right?
So, that's just our Christmas wish that things change and turn around. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us. Share us, subscribe, and we'll see you next year.
Can you get a shot of those? They're adorable.
Here, I'll let this one sing for you.
Okay.
Yes.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
There we go.
Okay.
This is the one.